Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever it may be. Hello, wrestling fans. Tonight is WWE Smackdown, and there is a lot that is going to be happening because basically all of the Royal Rumble fallout will be coming directly through Smackdown for, I think, pretty much every single match in some way, other than Drew McIntyre and Goldberg from that pay per view. So could be a very big show. We're also going to talk a little bit about the news that someone was released from the WWE, and I've got a little bit of news personally about shows in the future and my changing workspace. It is changing sooner rather than later. I'm Tom Collihew. I'm your host for this Roman Reigns show. You will be able to ask me any questions you want. You will be able to communicate and get across your theories. It's basically the standard way we do things here. If you want to come say hi, you are welcome to come say hi. I do need to make a quick change over on my Twitch because I've just realized while streaming on Twitch, we are still currently showing as playing Bloodborne, which is what I was doing yesterday for 2 hours. If you're interested in gaming, by all means, check out my Twitch fun over there. Click on that. Yes, I recognize that I'm live. Let's get to the video producer. In the meantime, while I'm doing this, you may or may not hear an ice cream van. It is 6 o'clock at night. It is dark. And they're still going out for ice cream in the middle of winter. I sort of have to praise them for that. So by all means, while people are filtering in, always takes a couple of minutes, say hi. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you're hoping for tonight. And let me know, in addition to that, what do you want to hear from me? Oh, it has recognized it was the Roman Reigns show. Today's Roman Reigns show. A Smackdown preview. Everything happening as a result of the Royal Rumble. Easy. Fantastic. Who've we got here? Michael Latina's here. Says, how's it going, Tom? Pretty good so far, got to be honest. I spent most of my day lifting and shifting in order to prepare my new office space, which was essentially formerly my spare bedroom, but we're in a global pandemic. Ain't no one coming to stay over. So I've been moving a few things around there. Connecting people through wrestling. Welcome, guys. Says, we are watching while in Tampa across from the Raymond James Stadium. Nice. I believe there is a WrestleMania coming there soon. So you've got a prime seat and you'll do great if they are allowed to have fans there, which I believe the plan is to have 30,000 fans each night. You'll definitely be able to connect quite a few of them. Always a good thing. Always a good thing. A little bit of personal news to start off with. As you know, I've been pushing my Twitch pretty hard. That is twitch.tv/Tom Collihew for anybody interested. And we are currently 5 followers, just 5, away from reaching the number required for monetization. What that means is I am then going to run into copyright issues with multi-stream. Because if I can earn money from Twitch, which I would then be able to do, I cannot also be making this video on YouTube. So at that point, I have to switch to these previews being entirely on Twitch. But I am currently working with another company about potentially doing previews on their channels. They will be later in the day, about a half an hour before the show starts. So literally, whenever Raw or SmackDown starts for you, a half hour before, I'll be going live on their YouTube channel. Cannot tell you more than that at the moment, but I'll be going live on their channel. And anyone who can't follow on Twitch or doesn't want to follow on Twitch, I will let you know who they are so you can follow them before we get started and still jump in and still engage. You can, of course, always jump across to Twitch and join me there instead. You'll still be able to talk, still be able to ask your questions, but essentially I'll be making some money from you being there just watching, whereas on YouTube, it's still going to take another 470 subscribers and a whole lot of watch hours. So I'm going to have to change the way I do things a bit. Please be aware of that going forwards. Live stuff will be moving to Twitch. Recorded stuff will still be here on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, please do remember to click like. That is a big benefit and a big help to me and my growth with this. I can still go and click like on the video myself. Ed, who is my mod over on Twitch, always grateful for you, sir, says, moderating from my car for a doctor's appointment today, but hello, followers on Twitch. Ed, I hope you're okay. Whatever the reason is that you're at the doctor's, I hope you're absolutely fine. Really do. And I wish you all the best. Dominic says, hi, Tom, like the show, thank you. Any information on Ronda Rousey? Play the music. I cannot play the music while multi-streaming. I can play the music if we are hosting shows on Twitch, because I can then use Streamlabs. I don't use Streamlabs at the moment for my streaming because I multi-stream, and I multi-stream using StreamYard. I can get more guests in. It's a lot easier for big panel stuff. But Streamlabs is better for singular stuff. For example, I can play music there. So that is definitely something I'm looking on. Any information on Ronda Rousey? None whatsoever. She is currently expecting her original contract to wind up in about 3 months. If in fact she had a 3-year contract, I'm still not entirely sure that she could have a 3-year contract and not work for 2 of them. But she is working for the WWE to do some gaming content. So that may be part of what is going on there. Connecting people also says Super Bowl is this weekend. Can you let me know what teams there are? Because as a British person, I have no concept of the Super Bowl, none whatsoever. The only thing I know about the Super Bowl is the brief SNL skit that was used, and he was a player was referenced, Tom Brady, I believe it was, played by John Krasinski. I'm guessing he's in a Super Bowl. Apparently he's quite good, but everyone hates him. Standard. If you're good, you tend to be hated. I'm lucky that you guys get on with me. Thankfully, I'm not good enough to be hated. Not good enough. We are 6 minutes in. If you're following on Twitch, please do remember to click follow. If you're following on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and click like. I am going to jump into the preview information that I have, and then there'll be a little bit more personal news later on. Any news that I have tends to come at the end, and it tends to be more reactionary than anything else. So let's see what... Okay. A known percent says, is Bianca touched the floor? Did Bianca Belair touch the floor with both feet? I've watched that a few times. I saw her touch the floor with one foot, that being her left, that went under the ring, and she used it to push herself back up. I didn't see her right foot touch the floor. I didn't see that. Also, it's well established in the WWE that they don't change the winner of the Royal Rumble. For example, The Rock in 2000, he lost to The Big Show, but he still went to WrestleMania. Steve Austin, the first Royal Rumble he won, Bret Hart won it. Steve Austin was eliminated and got back in. They don't change it. And ultimately, it always confuses me that someone like a Braun Strowman doesn't just stay in the ring and say, yeah, but everyone's eliminated, so I win. Ellie Lyon says, do you think Seth Rollins will be on SmackDown tonight? Yes, I do. I'll get into that a little bit more later. Manny says, hello. Welcome, Manny. Glad to see you. Manny says, Liv said watch her tonight, so we watch her. Yeah, I believe we're definitely going to see some evolution of Liv Morgan's current storyline, which, to be fair, while it's not a top-level storyline, it's been very entertaining. Billy Kay is really doing them a lot of favors and real help in getting things interesting, but the Royal Rumble, they played it really cleverly as well. Connecting people for wrestling says Kansas City Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl last year, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the first time the Super Bowl is being held in a city where one of the teams is from. Interesting. Very interesting. We always get that in football, as in soccer. I always think football is more accurate than American football, because in football, you kick a ball a lot more than in American football, but I digress. Yeah, we have that over here when it comes to Champions Leagues and so on. It's very rarely a home team that's there. So that could be very interesting. Manny says they should bring in Jillian Hall so we can get Billy and Jilly versus the Riot Squad. I don't think Billy would want to play along with that. Right, nearly 10 minutes in, doing well. Let's get over to the private chat section I've got here, and let's see what we've got for tonight's SmackDown. First, and probably the biggest news, is we expect Edge to be making an appearance tonight and having some sort of interaction with Roman Reigns. Now, on Monday, Edge came onto Raw and basically said, hi, Drew McIntyre, you're not very threatened by me. He didn't look particularly impressed. Now, on Wednesday, he got a chance to see Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, and the ratings did not spike as they had hoped. Going to be completely blunt with you guys, the WWE were really hoping that Edge would help them compete. He didn't. He just didn't. And it can't be a case of, oh, well, AEW had Kenta. Kenta wasn't announced. Edge was ahead of time. So, difficult one. A lot of people have watched his appearance on YouTube because they were probably watching AEW instead at the time. But we should get something a little bit more meme-worthy tonight. And I think that's what the WWE have been missing, that one moment where it's just clear something big is happening. Edge and Roman Reigns could very much be that thing. Also, we haven't seen Jey Uso in quite a while. We have seen the return of Naomi, but she has appeared on Raw, so I doubt we're going to see her on SmackDown. Confusing, really, considering the WWE always try and keep couples together. Now, I don't see Jey Uso moving to Raw. I think Naomi's more likely to move back to SmackDown, but I think it's also very telling that they don't need to worry about that at the moment because everyone's living and working so close together. Raw and SmackDown are not in different places across the country. It's also quite telling that with Naomi being back, we are likely to get a strong Naomi push until WrestleMania, and then after that, she's probably going to vanish off TV again, as has been the case for the last, I want to say 3 years, maybe 4 years. It's been a long time that they've been doing this exact thing for her. Also expected back last month, based on initial projections, with Jimmy Uso. So I expect with Jey Uso taking time off, maybe we will see the return of Jimmy Uso sooner rather than later. Let's check in on the comments we've got. Unknown Percent says AEW beat NXT from the ratings war this week. Yes, they did. And in fact, they beat them by quite a large margin. AEW for me was also the superior show, largely because of the Kenta appearance. If it had been a Jay White appearance, that would have been hilarious. Just hilarious, considering they were playing up the idea that Jay White's going to go to WWE. I reported last year that WWE are interested and Jay White don't want to go. That hasn't changed. Hasn't changed. Manny says people love the wedding. They do. Weddings are always a big hit. I mean, if you look back at the Lana and Bobby Lashley wedding, that's got millions upon millions of views on YouTube and was the most watched thing in wrestling on YouTube for about a year. Yeah. Manny also says what's going to happen for the women at Elimination Chamber. I will be getting to that in a little bit. So back to the private chat. We also need to find out what's going on with Bianca Belair. Edge has gone across all three brands. Bianca Belair has not. She's only expected to be on SmackDown, which means she's not going to be casting eyes over to Asuka, even though Bianca Belair versus Asuka could be a very good match. It also might not be too bad an idea because Asuka's really lacking in opponents at the minute, and she hasn't looked particularly strong in a while now. I'd like to see a little bit more. Bianca Belair might be able to get more out of her, and I think that's an idea with merit. I think that's something worth pursuing. However, it does seem in the stars that Bianca Belair will be challenging Sasha Banks. And I think that happens tonight on SmackDown. I think Belair does not bother wasting time. She comes straight out and says, Sasha Banks, I challenge you. A large reason for this is the fact that Carmella lost so decisively to Sasha Banks, and in fact had a pretty bad moment at the Royal Rumble when Tamina eliminated her effectively. It wasn't an exact elimination, but it was an elimination, so I'm going to call it a job done. What's next for Carmella will undoubtedly be Elimination Chamber. She needs at least a good look, and the Elimination Chamber for the women is likely to feature women from SmackDown, but it depends. Because if Bianca Belair does come out and say, I want to challenge Sasha Banks, Carmella might not be in it at all. We could see 2 Raw Elimination Chamber matches, which for me isn't great, but we may not necessarily see the Elimination Chamber matches decide who's going into WrestleMania. It may be that there are, for example, an Elimination Chamber match for the Intercontinental title. Get onto that in a little bit. We've got a couple more comments. Ed says, any thoughts on WWE? I just realized I missed one. Any thoughts on WWE saying they're not worried about ratings because YouTube numbers are very high? They make a hell of a lot of money off YouTube. And to be fair, this isn't new information. This isn't new information at all. When it comes to the WWE, they have been moving digital for a long time. And their YouTube is one of the most successful YouTubes in the world. The growth that it's had is ridiculous. It became a top 10 YouTube channel within about 4 years. The current top 10 have mostly been going for like 10. It was ridiculous. So a lot of people are watching on YouTube, and this is one of the metrics that the WWE use to track what's hot and what's not. I do have a video on YouTube essentially saying that Brock Lesnar is best for business, where I break down a lot of this YouTube information, which I think you guys might find very interesting, particularly as regards that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please remember to click a like on the video, which I suddenly remember I still have not done. I need to get around to doing these things. Michael Latina says, still think Rhea will be on Raw. I do. I would be very surprised if she's on SmackDown. I don't think the SmackDown Women's Division needs her, but I think the Raw Women's Division really does. Especially considering eventually the SmackDown Women's Division will hopefully have Sonya Deville. I'd like to see her back in action. That's something that we could hopefully make happen. Unknown Percent says, do you think Rhea Ripley will debut tonight? I still believe she'll be on Raw, so I don't think she'll debut tonight. But if it happens, it happens, and I would be pleasantly surprised. But I just, outside of Bianca Belair, I don't think Rhea Ripley has ideal opponents on SmackDown. And I think it's more likely we're going to see Rhea Ripley used to challenge Asuka. That would mean potentially, if we're going to have a women's elimination chamber for Raw to decide who challenges Asuka, we could have Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, and then I'd imagine Lacey Evans. That's not a bad group, is it? Not a bad group at all. Very excited by that idea. As regards YouTube, Ed said 2 billion views in December alone. That is right, and it is a very big number. They earn millions every month from YouTube. Every single month. They are able to pay Brock Lesnar's contract basically from YouTube views on old Brock Lesnar content. It is ridiculous the amount that they make via YouTube. One thing that was a bit of a disappointment to me at the Royal Rumble was Daniel Bryan, who, while he wasn't personally a disappointment, his ending position, I really thought he would be winning it, and up until very late in the day, he was. However, we have seen the return of Seth Rollins, and it looks like Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins will be working together for the foreseeable future, unless Seth decides he wants to pop over to Raw and destroy Matt Riddle some more. Would anyone be particularly upset? Anyone? Anyone want to jump in and defend Matt Riddle there? No? Cool. Glad we're all on the same page. Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins could be a really fun feud. They have feuded briefly before when Seth was still part of the Shield, but Seth's been face for quite a long time now. These two could gel together really well, and I'd imagine could be a great WrestleMania match. However, it's also one that I think could be useful for a Elimination Chamber Intercontinental title match. More on that story later. Let's check in on the comment. Manny says, I think Rhea will be on SmackDown because Priest is on Raw. I don't think one necessarily informs the other, especially considering it looks like we're going to have 2 SmackDown title matches from the Royal Rumble. But it's not impossible, certainly. I don't think they come as a pair or come separate per se. I don't think they're connected in that way. A question I do want to ask is, what's next for Kevin Owens? He seems to be a bit lost in the ether now after losing to Roman Reigns, and short of maybe a feud with Sami Zayn or in some way getting involved in a Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match, I'm not entirely sure what he could actually do right now. He's been beaten quite succinctly. Edge will now be taking his place by the look of it, going up against Roman. So for the next few months, what is the plan? Is potentially the plan to involve Owens in the feud with Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins? Could we be seeing a triple threat, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens? I just got really excited there. I haven't said that out loud before. That's a really fun idea. Really fun idea. I do want to talk now about my idea, and this is a bit of fantasy booking, but let me know if you like the idea, about an Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match. Now, you'd have your defending champion, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. You could swap someone out for Apollo Crews. You could swap someone out for Jey Uso. You could do an 8-man Elimination Chamber and just find a place for 2 more booths. It's doable. It's not like they haven't been using the camera in a very specific way recently. Let me know if you like that idea. Failing that, let's have that match with a ladder at the beginning of WrestleMania. It's been a while since we've had an Intercontinental Championship ladder match open the show. I never got the 205 Live one I wanted, but it could be a hell of a lot of fun. Checking in the comments, LA Line agrees with me that Kevin could go after the IC title. I'm not sure it works with Big E as champion at the minute because it's face versus face, but if Apollo Crews wins in short order, there's definitely potential there. It also depends whether or not Braun Strowman was actually on SmackDown, because we didn't see him on Raw, even though he was on Raw when he left. We did see him come out last week at the end of SmackDown, so it could be that he's on SmackDown, and we see Braun Strowman as some sort of top-level gatekeeper for a little while. Good work. Manny says, I can't believe WWE signed Parker to an NXT contract. He's massive. He is huge, and the WWE have a lot of fame and previous with big guys. They like big guys on the main roster. I don't think he'll be on the NXT roster for very long. I also said that about Matt Riddle back in the day as well, to be fair. Star Wars Lounge says, hey, Tom, welcome Star Wars Lounge. Glad to see you jumping in. By all means, ask questions. Click like on the video. Glad to see you here. I have been, I'll go into a bit of personal news now, if I may. I have been considering the idea of something I'm calling the Midnight Show. Now, that's midnight in the UK, 6 hours after this, because I have quite a strong American audience. And at the minute, this time slot doesn't really suit all of them automatically, depending on work schedules and so on and so forth. So I think a midnight show might be a good idea. That would be something that would be done on Twitch primarily. And I'm thinking, you know how you have those in America, the late night shows? Seth Meyers, for example, is a favorite of mine. I really like the work he does. I think we could do that, starting it based around wrestling, but then move into maybe more standard news. For example, they train Spinach to write emails. I have thoughts on that. I have very confusing and baffling thoughts. And I think that's worth discussing. So if that's something people are interested in as well, please do let me know for that. As I say, when it comes to Twitch, all of my live stuff will be moving purely to Twitch after a certain amount of time. And that certain amount of time is exactly how long it takes me to get 5 more followers. Just 5. So please, if you haven't already followed on Twitch, jump over there, twitch.tv/TomCallHugh. I do recognize a lot of your names, and I thank everyone who has followed over there, but be aware that live content will be moving over there. And really, if the people in here were already watching on there, I'd already be there. I'd already be making a living. You'll also see, starting on Monday, or the midnight show if I do it this week, not sure it'll be this week, but could be, my new office space, which is I'm essentially converting my spare room into a pure office because no one's going to stay over anymore. We're in a global pandemic. I've been lazy and not doing it previously. I haven't been lazy. I've literally gone through quite a heinous depression, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean, and I appreciate that. Let's catch up. Unknown Percent says Roman's handcuff botch was hilarious. Yes, it was, and I feel bad for Kevin Owens, who just had to sort of lay down and look hurt for longer than needed to. It's a shame, but it was fun. It was fun. Really good match. I love the golf cart. I watched it with my niece back a second time, and she could not stop laughing at the golf cart. Star Wars Lounge says, sorry I missed your Royal Rumble stream. You don't need to be sorry. I appreciate anyone who jumps in, even if it's a very brief time. Thank you for asking about it. What did you think of it? I've seen people complaining about Edge winning, but it makes a lot of sense logically, especially when they built it up that way. I thought the Royal Rumble was a fantastic show, and it got better and better and better. The highlight for me was a win for Bianca Belair. I think the women's Rumble was better than the men's Rumble, but not by much. And I think it's hard to keep up with the men's Rumble last year, which was just a great show wall to wall. So I valued it really highly. I thought all of the matches delivered, not just the Rumbles. When it comes to Edge, it's not an easy one to read. I think they did really well having Orton as a red herring because I was sold. I was sure Orton, after that RKO, was going to immediately throw him out. But they were very clever. Edge got beat up a lot. Christian was really well used. It was very good storytelling. Ellie says, do you think we could see Murphy back now that Rollins is back? I expect we will see Murphy back, but I don't think we're going to see the two of them interconnect at all. I think next time we see Murphy back, he'll be going up against Baron Corbin. And after that, he may be involved with Apollo Crews for a little while, maybe Big E. There are a number of people he could work with. I'd like to see him work with Sami Zayn. Sananu, welcome back, says, I see Edge beginning a Goldberg championship run. By Goldberg championship run, do you mean very, very brief? Because in WWE, he's never held the title very long at all. Or do you mean, for example, many undefeated matches? Because he could put on some really good matches. But honestly, if he's going up against Roman Reigns, I personally think he's going to lose. Riffing says, hi, welcome, Riffing. Glad to see you here. Anyone who has just come in, please do remember to click like on the YouTube video and pop over to Twitch and follow if you haven't already. As regards to Midnight Show, Ed says a midnight show could be fun. Sorry if that puts you out, Ed. Obviously, I'm really appreciative of all the effort you've made over on Twitch. But in no way am I going to say to you, you need to be there for this time or anything like that. If it's not a time slot that suits you, please do let me know. But I'm trying to find a time slot that does suit a lot of my Twitter followers, because I have thousands upon thousands of Twitter followers, and I'm still waiting on that last 5 on Twitch, so it's taking time. And Ed says, which I will highlight, Twitch is free, following is free, so you don't need to pay for Twitch. You can follow and join in the shows for absolutely free. Riff says, would you ever join WWE or another wrestling promotion if they would offer you a deal? I can't wrestle, but if I was offered, for example, a creative post, I'd give it a shot. Admittedly, the creative team are probably the most hated in the WWE. They receive more abuse than anyone. So I'd have to be willing to receive a lot of abuse, which in the past I have received a lot of abuse for things which are absolute bullshit. And yeah, there may be some swearing in streams going forward. And I didn't handle it particularly well. So we would see on that one. Another wrestling promotion, possibly. Keep your eyes peeled on that. As I say, I will be working with a wrestling promoter in the near future for previews and things which will be on YouTube. I will let you guys know all of that. If you haven't already followed on YouTube and on Twitch, that is probably where I'll have to let you know. But it will begin at the end of this month, and I will keep you guys informed. It will be starting just before the shows. Michael Latina says, do you think Sasha or Asuka will defend their belts before WrestleMania at the Elimination Chamber or Fastlane? Honestly, I don't. I think if they're going to, it'll be at Fastlane, but Elimination Chamber will be more about finding their opponents. Asuka doesn't really have a logical opponent at the moment. I could see Asuka versus Bliss at Elimination Chamber, but that depends. Alexa Bliss destroyed Asuka repeatedly and easily. So I don't know if they want to run that back, because it would be a shock if Asuka won. Riffing says, any more releases incoming? Not that I am aware of. Not that I am aware of at the moment. This was a very unique circumstance. I can't go any more into it because I don't report the news. But not all the information has come out from either side. Sananu says, yes, very brief. If he wins the championship, I can imagine it'd be quite brief. Most of Edge's championship runs have been quite brief, to be completely honest. That's helped the Ultimate Opportunist gimmick. I remember when he first won and took the belt off Cena, Cena won it back the next month. Riffing says, is Edge becoming a full-timer? Briefly, yes. Now, Edge's contract, as has been announced, is for 5 matches a year and 13 appearances. He didn't do all of his matches or appearances last year, which means if that is still his contract, he owes them appearances and matches. Let's say he owes them 10 appearances. Well, then he's got to do 23 appearances. So between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, he could do all of those shows, all of them, and have 2 or 3 matches, and then he would quieten down again afterwards. That is what I expect to see with Edge. Star Wars Lounge said, I was so surprised seeing Christian back. Apparently he's back part-time too, so he could potentially help Edge against Roman and Jey Uso if that's the title he went after. That's a good call. I could definitely see that happening. I think logically, we're going to see Roman and Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens and Edge, at least part-time. I think we're going to see that at some point. Christian was cleared. He is cleared to return to the ring. It was very quietly done, but he was cleared a week before, just before they decided to have Edge announce his entry, because they were very happy they'd still have the big surprise with Christian, and really everyone expected Edge to be there anyway. Riffing says, are Ring of Honor and Major League Wrestling part of the AEW, NWA, AAA, New Japan, and Impact relationship? At the moment, they are not. There is no connection between them there. Also, when it comes to the... thank you, Sashwan Cena, for following me over on Twitch. I very much appreciate that. When it comes to the AEW New Japan working relationship, it is a small working relationship. The New Japan Pro Wrestling wanted something. They wanted Jon Moxley. AEW wanted something. They wanted New Japan. So they got Kenta because that works for both parties. New Japan long-term is still not particularly interested in working with AEW. But if this relationship works out, that could change. At the moment, though, when it comes to the Roku deal as well, they need to to work on that. That Was Lounge says, I'll get to that a bit later, man. I'm keeping an eye on you. It would be cool if Edge went against Roman. Christian comes out at Mania to help him win, and then he turns against Edge, beginning a long rivalry. Don't personally see it. I think they want to keep Christian positive because he will be brief in his time. I also think Roman could probably beat both of them with how he is at the moment. Would be fun. I don't think I want to see a sudden heel turn. Depends how it's done. Riffing says, is Chris Masters returning to the WWE? I don't believe he is, no. That's not something I am personally aware of. Unknown percent as regards the quarterly earnings call yesterday says WWE had revenue of $974 million in 2020. And they released a lot of people whose total money that it would cost the WWE was, to my knowledge, over the course of the year, around about 10 million. Around about 10. Not a great number. Ellie Line says, were you surprised that Lars Sullivan got released? Not at all. He's been an exercise in frustration for the WWE, and that's all I'll say on that. Riffing says, in my opinion, WWE should release wrestlers that they don't use at all. WWE should let them go and find better opportunities. I agree with that. I also can see why, business-wise, they choose not to. The WWE do not hire someone without intending to use them. It's just sometimes they hire people and then they can't find a way to use them. Or there are a lot of examples of, I'll get to, there's some comments I unfortunately have to argue with coming up. But yes, they always sign people thinking, I can get these people over. It just doesn't always work out that way, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Brandon says, both streams, gang. There are a couple of people currently on both YouTube and Twitch. Thank you very much for that. There is, on Twitch, a average viewership count. So the more viewers over there, the better for me. That's something to keep an eye on. So I really do appreciate even just doing both. That made me laugh. Then Anna said, which team do you think will win the Dusty Rhodes Classic? I'm leaning towards Ciampa and Thatcher. They want to push Timothy Thatcher. They want to give Ciampa something to do. And I think that's a different, unique, and interesting match. Well worth the doing. So I'm going to go that way. Riffing says, can NXT, not WWE main roster, have a working relationship with another wrestling promotion? NXT, regardless of not being WWE main roster, is still part of the WWE. The working relationship they have is with 205, with NXT UK. I do have audio of a question I was able to ask Triple H about this exact thing, which I will probably upload at some point to share. But essentially, he considers NXT main roster not just as NXT, but all the different branches. Raw and SmackDown are WWE, but when you look at WWE India will be NXT India, will be NXT India, which is where Kairi Sane is at the moment, and so on and so forth. Northern Bear says, hey, welcome, Northern Bear. Glad to see you pop in. Happy to see you as well. Star Wars Lounge said, would Brock be the underdog for once if he faced Roman in his current state? Absolutely. Brock Lesnar is always the top guy. Roman is way better right now. So Nanu says, and this unfortunately I have to argue with, Lars was fired, not released. The statement put out by Lars Sullivan does not suggest he was fired. It very much suggests he spoke to the WWE, could not give them what they wanted from him, and a mutual agreement was put in place to have him released. If the WWE someone, you can tell in the statement. Ed welcomes everyone to Twitch, and I also welcome everyone to Twitch. Glad to see you guys over there. That right now, the reason I'm focusing on Twitch is because I can potentially, if things go well, make a living on Twitch. I've been trying to do that for a year on YouTube with no success. Oh, cheers, Brandon. Really appreciate that. Saying I'll try and be in both streams going forward to help. Really do appreciate that. You'll get a notification whenever I'm online. Monday and Friday is wrestling stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays is Football Manager, and Thursdays is Bloodborne at the moment. They may also be the midnight show, but we'll see about that, which would not be gaming or wrestling per se, but would be like topical news and so on and so forth. So if you receive a notification and you look at it and you think, okay, that's not something I'm interested in, then I think that's a great thing because you can just skip by it. But if it's something like wrestling stuff, you can always jump straight in there. It is a big help, thank you. Ed says, while I agree wrestlers should be released if not being used, there are a bunch of individuals who aren't on TV who are doing many things backstage. That is fair. There's a lot of people who maybe haven't been in the ring that often who are doing good stuff on up, down, down. There's a perfect example. Someone in the WWE will always become a lot more mainstream. Look at Zelina Vega as a perfect example. She is earning more on Twitch than she ever did in WWE. But if she didn't go to the WWE and help expand her brand, would she have been doing that? You can't say for certain either way, but it's certainly something worth looking into. If I ever got the chance to interview Zelina Vega, and I'll probably try now to be completely honest, I would definitely be asking that question. Riffing says, can the tribal chief Roman Reigns defeat Jon Moxley? Absolutely not, and neither can the other way around, because that match is never going to happen. Never going to happen. The companies do not want their top guys going against each other. There's no winner. Riff says, in what company should Matt Cardona end up and sign? I think AEW would be the best fit for him personally. I think with the way he markets himself and what he wants to do, especially when it comes to like the Internet Championship and stuff, AEW would be the perfect place for that. Whether he wants to go there, that's up to him. Brandon says, yeah, I've watched you for a while now and you're a great guy, so happy to help. Oh, thanks, man. Means a lot to me. I've put myself in a position in front of a lot of people, and it's nerve-wracking. It's genuinely quite scary. My face, which I do not like at all, is in front of the world. And I know there are people on Twitter who go after me quite often just to try and make their name. At any point, one of them could come in here. Now, I've got a very good mod in Ed who would look after me. I would certainly fight back. Previously, I've asked Ed to just block people and get them out, whereas now I'm thinking maybe I would just handle the heckler. Maybe I could be a bit stronger in that regard. But it makes a big difference knowing that people come in and are positive. Twitch has been really good for that, for example. Riff has a lot of questions. Was Velveteen Dream released too? Nope, Velveteen Dream is still very much under the NXT umbrella. And Wesley Drake, no, he is very much still on SmackDown. He is likely to be forming a tag team with Baron Corbin, or they're going to scrap that and we see Murphy and Blake reunite. Also says, why is WWE no longer making animated cartoons? Because nobody watched them. Pretty much. Riff said, should AEW and Impact Bullet Club unite with the NJPW Bullet Club? I suspect they're going to. I would suspect we're going to see some element of that very soon. And honestly, I think we're going to see Jay White on AEW. I think we will. We won't see a feud. I don't think we'll see a storyline per se, but I think we'll see Jay White on AEW. And I think we're probably going to see the Good Brothers on the NJPW Strong. They are making little connections, but New Japan and Impact, they do not have a very good working relationship. That's all I can really say on that. Anyone who's familiar with the story of Kazuchika Okada will probably know why their working relationship isn't good. So New Japan are very reticent and going to be very careful about who they work with in the future. Brandon says, people lead very sad lives. Here, sir. If all they do is come into streams and attack people, I understand. I've had a bit of it. Twitch, like I say, has been extremely positive, and I'm really grateful for that. Riffing says, is Murphy getting buried? No, he's not. He's on what they call creative hiatus at the moment. Essentially means they've run out of ideas for a little bit. So they need to take him off TV, work out what they want to do with him, and go from there. Brandon says you get bonus points too, as I believe we both live in the Northwest. UK, yeah, I'm a Blackpool boy. So about as Northwest as you get. Well, no, like there's a Lake District. But yes, I very much live up here in Northwest. I'm originally from Yorkshire, so if I'm drunk, I go to Yorkshire accent. You may catch that on a future live stream, is all I'll say. Because I've got whiskey over there. I was gonna sit and have a couple of glasses of whiskey during the Royal Rumble live stream, but then I had quite a few guests and I was trying to maneuver them all and so on and so forth. And I was trying to collect little clips and commercials. I've got one for the Robotron channel, which I'll probably play in a bit because it's magnificent carnage, so that I could have bathroom breaks. And I didn't collect enough of them. So I was trying not to drink too much. But that's a thing that I want to offer out to you guys as well. If you want me to advertise something for you, I'm not talking sponsorship, but I don't have sponsorships at the minute. I will be able to look at them in future. But if you have your own Twitch show, like Northern Bear, I think you'd be a perfect example here. If you'd like to give me a clip, like 30-second, 45-second clip that I can use to refresh my drink or something like that I could play to advertise your Twitch, let me know, because you've gained me personally quite a few followers, and I really do appreciate that. Michael Latina says, what do you think this weekly show will be on the Roku channel for New Japan Pro Wrestling? I wonder if it'll be just some matches from their recent shows. I suspect it's going to be strong. I think it'll just be New Japan Pro Wrestling strong, essentially the American New Japan. But I think when it comes to the big events, we'll see some G1 matches on NJPW strong. Maybe we'll have Block A there and Block B over in Japan. That's an idea. And then so on and so forth. There's a number of things they could do. Brandon, oh, you're in Manchester. When there's not a global pandemic on, I'm pop over to Manchester all the time. I'll have to get a drink and chat wrestling. Riff says, are Mike Knox and Snitsky returning to WWE? I've not been told anything about that. I think at the moment, the WWE aren't trying to bring too many people back. They just want big names. Star Wars Lounge said, hasn't Ray just signed a new contract? I believe I saw it like yesterday or something. He's referred to it. I'm guessing this is you, Brandon. He's referred to it, and this essentially, it's an interesting time. The WWE don't seem to be announcing new contracts, or maybe they haven't actually been formally signed. It could be that Ray is working without a contract at the moment and just plans to go until he wants to stop. There were, in his previous contract, a number of sort of trapdoors in case he wanted to retire early. There was a genuine moment where Dominic Mysterio talked Ray into getting back in the ring because he wanted to tag with his dad. That is a basis in fact. Ray Mysterio has been open about the fact, and Dominic as well, in fact, has been open about the fact that Ray was considering retiring then. He seems to still be very happy, and they've protected him to a degree. He hasn't been wrestling that much, which means that he's able to do a lot more. And I will definitely refer to you as Brandon. I guarantee you that. Once I get to know people's names, I just refer to them by name. There is also, of course, Jeff Hardy's contract, which negotiations, to my knowledge, is still ongoing. But to be fair, one of the things that people hold over me, as it were, and one of the things that people flame me for and jump on Twitter and attack me, is because I said that Jeff Hardy's contract negotiations are still ongoing. And then he said, yeah, we're talking about using no more words. That's part of the deal for the contract. And then so many people said to me, you were wrong. Jeff Hardy has signed a new contract. Is he using no more words? Have I heard that? Did he say he signed a new contract? Did the WWE announce anything? Anything? Yeah. Editor of a quite prominent news site came after me hard for that one. A week beforehand, I'd been on their top list for reporting more and more accurate news than anyone else. I'm not bitter. I'm a little better. Riff said, can we finally see a match between Pac and Will Ospreay? Possibly, but as I say, the New Japan are going to be quite reticent in the negotiations and how they make this work. Also, Pac probably wants to see that, but we'll have to wait and see, because Will Ospreay also had, unfortunately, a little bit of drama himself, shall we say. Everything says, why is 2008 considered one of the most important years in pro wrestling? I think it's because it was a lot of debuts in that year. I'm not aware of that, personally, Riff thing. I'm not aware of that, but here's what it is. Brandon says, I believe they wanted to hold no more words back until fans are allowed back. I've heard this quite a lot. Just the phrase, they won't do that until fans are back. They won't do that until fans are back. They're going to be waiting a long time. Now, it's very possible that Jeff Hardy has signed a new contract. I never said he wasn't going to. I said negotiations are ongoing. And that's... So, yeah. Moving on from this. They may be holding on to it for then to get the pop, but we'd have to wait and see. Ultimately, if that's the case, they are really restricting themselves, because eventually you've just got to do things, you know? It says there were many Pac versus Ospreay matches previously in Rev Pro and or Progress. I believe there was also one in Defiant Wrestling, which was previously What Culture Pro Wrestling. I think there was one there. Not entirely sure. I don't get out to enough wrestling. No more comments at the moment, so I'm going to go through the last of my preview. and then run through the last of the comments. So we talked briefly about the evolution of Billie Kay. She did a really fun job in the Royal Rumble, but we can't just keep doing tag team match, tag team match, tag team match, and doing little tiny advancement. With her being essentially kicked out, I think at this point she's going to look for a new team. Maybe we'll see Billie Kay trying to convince Carmella to give it a go. Maybe we'll see her try and get something going with Tamina. Either way, what do you make of this particular Billie Kay evolution? Because I think they're doing very good things with it. Baron Corbin versus the Mysterios has been ongoing as well. Corbin has one less person for backup, but he still has backup. However, he doesn't need backup. He's been defeating the Mysterios quite handily and regularly. However, Dominic Mysterio did eliminate Baron Corbin from the Royal Rumble, which is a scalp, because Baron Corbin is a big deal. I know a lot of people hate him. I hate him for a good reason. For a very good reason. He wants me to hate him. That's why I hate him. I hate him out of respect. But he's been treated as an even bigger deal now than he has been for a long, long time. I definitely think we're going to see some element of Corbin versus Edge. Just the way they work together. Corbin is a very safe guy, and I think that's something we could see happen. But really, when it comes to Rey Mysterio saying we need to call someone else in, will you just do it already? That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Just do it. Just do it. If it's Cain Velasquez, if it's Buddy Murphy, just do it. I've touched briefly on what's next for Carmella, which basically I don't know, and I don't think anyone does. She's got a very well-established character now, and Carmella never falls very far, but she vanished for a long time before this feud. A long, long time. I don't want to see that happen again, but I'm concerned it might. WWE will be full steam ahead for Elimination Chamber, which is coming up next. Is Elimination Chamber coming up next? I don't want to accidentally go wrong. WWE pay-per-view schedule. I don't want to sell you guys wrong. February 21st, Elimination Chamber. That's actually pretty close. Pretty close. So that is what's coming up next. Tonight, they need to start deciding who's going to be in those chambers. Edge, of course, will be the big moment. Bianca Belair as well, I suspect, will be challenging Sasha Banks directly. And then we need to start filling things up. There will be a lot of returns. Belair's going to get a big moment. Edge is going to get a big moment. Seth Rollins is going to get a big moment. But there's also a number of people who need to recover. Carmella, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan. Also, as mentioned, I want to see Sonya Deville back sooner rather than later. I'm going to go through the comments now until we run out. And if we don't, if we don't run out, I'll basically just keep going. But if we do run out, that will be the end of the stream. So let's see what we've got. Riffing says, who is the most successful NXT wrestler that joined AEW? I think the most successful is Jon Moxley. You are absolutely correct. Jon Moxley is the most successful person in AEW since joining AEW. He's been the big deal. So you are absolutely correct. Brandon says, what other things do you think they could possibly be holding back until fans are back? It's a good question. There are a number of surprises that they could have been holding back. I think we won't see Becky Lynch back, for example. I think if we had fans, Becky Lynch would have already made an appearance, just not a wrestling appearance. I think she would have just turned up, cut a promo, and that would have been that. Or she could have recorded it, but I think they're waiting for fans on that one. And there's a number of other things. Riffing says, any update on Marty Scurll? Is he joining AEW? I believe his no compete clause is still ongoing. I can't say for certain that he's joining AEW. Personally, I think he will go to New Japan. Riffing says, does Matt Riddle have any chance on winning a world title in WWE? Yes, he does. Matt Riddle is very, very popular with Vince McMahon. Not so popular with quite a few other people. There's always like some that like you and some that don't. But he's popular with Vince McMahon, but something has really gone wrong. There was a very strong push planned for Matt Riddle, and then it just didn't happen. Doesn't help that he keeps getting himself in trouble. And to be honest, if Vince McMahon has to make the choice between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle, he'll choose Brock Lesnar. He'll also choose Goldberg. Gotta be careful. Riffing says, why is AEW not signed Cain Velasquez yet? I don't believe they want to. I mean, that's the reason. It says 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks. 3 weeks of Baron Corbin dominating everything. Just dominating everything. Brandon says, I'm disappointed with how they've handled Hardy, to be honest. I agree. Absolutely. I want him to win the world title at least once more. Just give him a massive push before he retires. I don't think Jeff Hardy should win another world title. I think he should be there to put other people over. I think personally, Jeff Hardy's counting down the days, but I don't think he will ever retire. I think he will retire when his body can take it no more. We'll see how happy he is in WWE. I don't see how he can be happy with the way he's been booked. They could do a lot better for me, but if he's happy, he's happy. Riffing says, what pay-per-view WWE should remove from their calendar? None of them. I don't mind having a Hell in a Cell event dedicated to one place or a TLC if they're smart with it. Having this year's Hell in a Cell be Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton and Sasha Banks and Belair, those feuds made sense in Hell in a Cell. It's when they just throw two people together that's the problem. Latina says, who do you think would be the heel in a Sasha versus Bianca match? I wouldn't have either of them as the heel until the match, and then I would probably have Sasha start to turn heel after that. Because, bless her, I just don't think Sasha Banks is as good a face as she is a heel. I just don't think so. I would like to play it similar to what happened with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, where it's a respect thing beforehand, building up to the match, and then Bianca takes the title and Sasha Banks stops respecting. They also did this with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels back at WrestleMania 12, and I think it played out really well there. Riff says, when Bray returns, should he bring Bo Dallas with him? He's been trying. He's been trying and unfortunately not succeeding. It says, Marty is likely untouchable by most promotions, with the reason why he was released from Ring of Honor. I don't know all the reasons. I obviously have been keeping track, but there are a number of promotions which don't really care about that. Obviously, there was a lot of heat on Will Ospreay, and then he returned to New Japan and was treated like the returning hero, as an example. So I do think New Japan will be where Marty Scurll goes. Ellie Lyons says, do you want to see Rey and Dominic as tag team champs? I do, personally. I think that would be a great way to get Dominic more time in the ring. I think he does need a bit more experience, and he's getting there very quickly. He's very impressive, but I think a bit more experience is a good thing for anyone. So I think a tag team feud would be very, very good for them, particularly with who the tag team champions are at the minute. They have a lot of experience, Ziggler and Rude, and they can make something of it. Also, SmackDown needs tag teams. They really do. Riffing says, when will Baron Corbin drop the King gimmick? When there is a new King of the Ring. Hopefully Xavier Woods. Vince, if you're listening, put a crown on that man's head. Literally, just take it off Baron Corbin. He doesn't need it. Put it on Xavier Woods' head. Do whatever you have to do to keep this man. Brandon says, apparently Cesaro had a push planned a few weeks ago, but it's not going to happen anymore. Yeah, here's the thing. When it comes to contract negotiations, it's not just money that the WWE promise you. And I've said this many times. The WWE will also negotiate with you a push. For example, if Bobby Lashley wants to come back and he says, okay, I'll come back if you promise me Brock Lesnar. He's then promised Brock Lesnar and the match doesn't happen. So he feels the need to go public and tell everyone he's been wanting to fight Brock Lesnar. Let's just say that happens. Let's say Rey Mysterio returns for slightly less than they would have cost because you promised to push his son. I believe Cesaro was promised a push, and I believe once he signed, that push vanished. However, for the last month or so, Cesaro has been prominent. So if there is a push, it could still happen. Riffing says, can WWE use political and juridical? I'm not sure what the word juridical is referring to. Political tactics with no logic to end AEW if they want to. Do you mean jurisdictional? If the WWE decide they just want to crush AEW, it's possible. But I don't think it's easy. I think they're going to find it hard to pressure sponsors into leaving AEW. I think they're going to find it hard to pressure arenas into not booking AEW. AEW is a big success. And I would not begrudge a company coming out and saying, I would rather have AEW than the WWE if the WWE haven't necessarily been great to them in the past few years. These things do matter. Brandon says, I like that you're doing both accounts. I like that. If you could pick one WWE legend to show up in AEW, who would it be? I'd like it to be someone who could still go. I'd very much like it to be someone who could still go. Trish Stratus. The women's division needs a jolt. Has done for a while. Trish Stratus, she's a perfect example of someone who learned while doing. And I think she could be really good in a training capacity as well. Just to help the women's wrestlers along, they've got a lot of real potential there. But I've watched some of the matches, and there has been moments where they just have struggled in the ring a little bit. Trish Stratus, for me, would elevate that women's division and make people watch a little bit more as well. Ellie Line says, would you rather have seen Seth Rollins return as a face at the Rumble? Honestly, no. I think the SmackDown side is in danger of getting a little bit too face heavy. And once Nakamura became a face, I'm then happy with Seth being a heel because Seth can work with Bryan, he can work with Nakamura, he can to an extent work with Cesaro, he can work with Big E. Seth can elevate people more as a heel than he can as a face. So I wasn't disappointed personally. Riff Thing says, what AEW wrestler would be a perfect fit for WWE? MJF. But I don't think he's leaving. Riff also says, is WWE lazy booking and creative a cheaper way to make more money? WWE don't set out to be bad. Their creative team don't set out to underdeliver, and there have been some great moments in WWE recently. However, there have been a lot of moments that didn't quite reach what they needed to do. Either they've been aimed at different people, like I'm not a fan of the Miz and Morrison segments, but younger people, my niece finds them hilarious. She finds them absolutely hilarious. So that's something to be aware of. It might just not be aimed at you personally. There are bad moments, there are bad bits. The This Is Your Life segment immediately jumps up. I wasn't a big fan of Ding Dong Hello, but they evolved it nicely and it served its purpose. So the WWE could make money with much lower expenditure and just become a YouTube company very easily. So they are trying to deliver something. It just doesn't always hit the mark. Is AEW becoming the home of WCW legends? Haven't seen Kevin Nash there yet. Haven't seen Hulk Hogan there yet. AEW is as much a home as WCW legends as the WWE is. Let's not forget Diamond Dallas Page sat for a watch-along sponsored by the WWE at the Royal Rumble, so he was involved. Brandon says, do you think Miz could cash in at Mania and then feud with Morrison over the title? Honestly, no. I don't see the two of them splitting up. I think the fact that John Morrison returned to the WWE and has never left the Miz's side since says that is their future. That is what they're just going to keep doing. I don't know when he's going to cash in, to be honest. He was clearly given the briefcase back for a reason. It's just not happened. Riffing says, what wrestlers of the beginning of the PG era is doing their best right now? Roman? Depends what you define as the beginning of the PG era. Otherwise, I'm probably going to have to say John Cena, but he was not PG. He did not start off PG. He had a good 7 years of non-PG. That is all the comments and questions I have. So, again, I just want to reiterate the personal news that I've given out. I'm considering on either Saturday or Sunday night. It depends if there's pay-per-views on Sundays. I should probably do it on Saturdays, but WrestleMania is going to be a 2-night show. So a midnight show, which would be less wrestling orientated, but I would still love to see you guys there. That would be on Twitch so that I can use Streamlabs. It means the video quality is better. It means I can upload more videos and stuff and go from there. So that would be something I was looking at. Riffing says, beginning of the PG era is 2008, 2009. I'm still on Roman, to be completely honest. Maybe Daniel Bryan. So yes, I'm considering that. Please let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'm now 4 followers, 4 away from being able to monetize on Twitch, which would be huge for me and would really help me to deliver more content to you guys. But that would mean I'd be dropping off of YouTube for live content. You'd be getting replays here and video uploads like that, but actual live stuff would be all on Twitch. So please be aware of that. Follow there if you haven't. If you have been watching this on YouTube, please do remember to click like. It makes a very big difference to me and helps me grow on YouTube because I'd like to monetize here as well. But it hasn't worked in a year or so. I've been live a lot and I've been trying and it's just not working out. So I'm doing what I can. In future, after this weekend, I will be in a new area. Good idea, Ed. That's something to consider. I might do that. That's a good plan. I will be in a new area, a new office space, as it were, which is my spare bedroom. I'm shifting things around. Ed has suggested a SmackDown watch party. I am going to watch SmackDown live tonight. So would you guys want to return if I did a live SmackDown watch party? Please let me know for that, because there's no point if nobody's watching. But I obviously appreciate like Ed's being great on them, and I could raid another channel afterwards. I like it, Brandon. I like it. Like the stream, save the dream. I might adopt that. I might make it a logo. I might make it a slogan. Could also switch it to like the stream, live the dream. But it's my dream, not yours. Brandon is also up for a SmackDown watch party, so I might do that. I will be watching SmackDown live tonight, because tomorrow I basically work a 9 to 5. I watch SmackDown usually when I wake up. I write the Roman Reigns-ometer, which is for PW Torch, if anyone doesn't know, where I essentially poke fun at wrestling by the medium of Roman Reigns. I then record Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure, which is our PW Torch VIP show, which is an hour-long podcast that goes out every week covering the big stories in the WWE. I record that with Nick. I then download that audio, edit it, and send it on. And then I record my SmackDown review for my own personal YouTube channel, edit that, put it together. That's usually before I've had dinner. So it can get quite hectic on Saturday. So I'd like to just watch SmackDown tonight instead. So it's an idea. I will consider it. You'll get a notification if it happens. I'll probably come live about 15 minutes beforehand. I do, after all, have a logo that I can use. I just have to click this. And that can be my weight screen. It's an idea. Cheers for suggesting it, Ed. Star Wars Lana said, what's next for Goldberg? Is he going to be at Mania for a match? Very, very likely. Yes, very likely. He is scheduled for 2 matches, and he's going to be top heavy. He's always beginning of the year. We've been going for an hour and 2 minutes. That is all the comments I have had. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you, everyone who has joined me on today's Roman Reigns show, the WWE Smackdown Preview. Whether you've watched for 1 minute or watched for an hour, I am really grateful. If you've clicked like already on YouTube, if you don't already subscribe, please do remember to click subscribe. And remember to go over to twitch.tv/Tom Colahue and follow there as well. If I do a watch party, I will probably do it there. So thank you, everyone, for asking questions. I've been your host, Tom Colahue, and I will see you all next time.